So in this chapter, we're going to learn about some of the basic functions of how to operate in Painter. And nothing is more basic than opening a new document. So that's what we're going to do right now, is we're going to create a brand new image that we can begin to paint and draw on. And in order to do that, we're going to go over here to our File menu. And if we click on that, you'll see that we have at the very top, New. And it's followed by an ellipsis, which is basically just New Image. Next to that, you'll notice that I have a keyboard shortcut combination. On a Windows machine, this would be Control N. On a Macintosh, it'll be a different keyboard combination. But the bottom line is that as we're looking through all of these menu items, you'll notice that they do have, many of them, a keyboard shortcut combination that you can use to access these functions without actually clicking up here in the File menu. So in order to show you that, I'll just go ahead and do Control N now. And you'll see we get the new image dialog. I'm going to hit cancel real quick to close that out. And if I go up here and I click on File New, you'll see I get the exact same dialog. So that's how the keyboard shortcut functions work. And whenever you're working in a graphics application, it's a really good idea to get comfortable with common keyboard shortcuts because they can save you a lot of time and they can save you a lot of moving around, which ultimately what you want when you're working in a graphics application is to keep your cursor on top of the art and not out in the interface. If you can do that, because obviously it's going to speed up your workflow and it's going to allow you to think as an artist and not as a technician. So let's go ahead and look at this new image dialog. The first thing that we'll notice here is we can name this new image. And so I'll do that right now. Now, one thing that's important to know here is that we're not actually saving this image. We're simply opening it. So the name won't mean anything until we actually save the image. Now, likewise, we're going to look here at the width and the height. And these are kind of arbitrary values at this particular stage of the game because we can always go down, and in some instances we can go up in our pixel resolution. Likewise, we can also change how many pixels per inch we have in many different dynamic ways. And of course, I'll spend a lot of time talking about those things when we come to the chapters that deal with resolution and how to manipulate your file size. So these are important, but they're not really all that important. And it becomes a little bit even more confusing when you start to look at the fact that these are in pixel values right now. However, if I were to change this to something like, say, inches, you'll see that those values change. However, the resolution of this has never actually changed. And the reason why was because the original pixel value of 1600 by 900 is being divided by 1500 pixels per inch. So we end up with 10.667 inches and a height of 6 inches. Now, if we were to do this in centimeters, and I were to go to pixels per centimeter, you'll see that we end up with 27 centimeters by 15 centimeters at 59.1 pixels per centimeter. So based on whatever measurement system that you have going as far as what it is that you're trying to accomplish, you're going to get different results here for your width and your height and your resolution. Now, of course, if you're working professionally, then chances are your publisher or whoever you're working with who's giving you your assignments will tell you how big the width and the height in both pixels or inches, or how many pixels per inch or pixels per centimeter. All that information will be given to you so that you will work in the appropriate height. As a general rule of thumb, when we first start here in Painter just to learn the program, we're not going to be doing anything other than a 1600 by 900 default. Now let's say for whatever reason though that I wanted to go ahead and do something like pixels per inch, and I wanted to do in inches, and I want to do something like, say, an 8 by 10. So I'm going to do a 10 and 8, like so. Now, and I'm also going to do 300. This would be an 8 by 10 at 300 pixels per inch, and of course I need to change those again because as I clicked up there, it automatically changed that. So what does that come out to be in pixel values? Well, if this is 300 pixels and it's times 10, then this is going to be 3000 pixels. So if I go back over here, you'll see 3000 pixels by 2400 pixels. So it's really a simple math problem, but at the same time, it can throw people who are new to working with resolution. And like I said, we'll come back and revisit this topic again later. Now, these two icons off to the side. The first icon is going to allow us to choose the canvas color, and that's going to be the background color of our image. Now, typically, you're going to want to leave this white, but if you want to change it for some reason, you can come up here and you can open your system color palette. Now in Windows, this is what it looks like in Windows. One of the advantages of working on a Macintosh platform is they have a really excellent system color palette, and it's going to look entirely different from this, and it's going to be much, much more sophisticated. So you can pick your colors through this for whatever you want your canvas to be, but like I say, for right now, we're going to just leave it for white. The next item is the actual paper texture for the canvas. Now, talking about paper and canvas, you might get confused. The background in Painter is always referred to as the canvas, but a texture that is applied to the canvas is referred to as a paper. So if we go ahead and open this up, you'll see that we have many different paper textures that we could choose to apply. But for right now, we'll just go ahead and leave it at this basic paper, which is what we currently have. Now, if we have this all set up just the way we'd like it, you'll notice over here that we have canvas presets. And if I click this arrow, you'll see that we have a bunch of different defaults and a portrait mode here. If I want to add something to this canvas preset so that I can always get back to this image that I've set up with this particular custom resolution, I can simply say add, and I can add a preset. So I'll call this one Jason 1. And that's a preset that I can always get back to now. So I'm going to hit save. And now you can see that if I were to switch over to say something like the Painter 12 default, I get the 1600 by 900 by 150 pixels per inch. If I switch over to the Jason 1, you'll see that I get the 10 inches by 8 inches at 300 pixels per inch. So all the information that you set in this new image dialog can be saved as a canvas preset that then you can use to always open the same file size that you need every single time. And that's a really handy, quick, and easy way of setting up sort of a template. And it's not a true template because there are templates, and we'll look at those as well. But for right now, I'm just going to go back over to our Painter 12 default, and I'm going to hit OK to open that image. Now, when this image opens, you'll see that we have these scroll bars going down the sides of our image, and this allows us to scroll and see what's known as the background or the artboard, depending upon your point of view on these issues. And this is really just sort of an empty dead space. We really can't do anything back here. It's just to show us where the edges of our canvas are. So that's really just sort of a way of delineating where the canvas stops, but it's not really something where you can stick stuff out here for the most part. Now, these scroll bars are really not necessary. And the reason why is because if you hold down the space bar, you'll see that our icon changes to a hand. And if I press and hold down and drag, I'm actually moving this around as long as I have the space bar held down. So that's a really fast and easy way of navigating around our document. So we're not going to need these scroll bars. And the way that we get rid of those scroll bars is you see at the bottom of our toolbar here, we have a full screen mode. And if I click that, you'll see that those scroll bars go away. And now I'm left with just my document. Now, if you look at the top of our document up here at the very top where it says Jason 1, and it's at 50%. Well, what does that 50% mean? That is a 50% zoom, which means we're halfway zoomed out in the document. If I were to zoom in twice, then I would be able to see this. A keyboard combination that you're definitely going to want to learn is the Control plus and Control minus. And the reason why is because they allow you to zoom in and zoom out without having to go over here and grab a particular tool. So what I want to do here is I just want to make sure that I have my focus down here in my art. Hold down the Control key, and I'm going to tap plus to zoom in and minus to zoom out. And as I'm zooming in and out, you'll see that that magnification up here is changing to tell me what my exact zoom is. So now I'm zoomed in to 100%, and that's generally where you're going to want to be for seeing the full effect of your painter brushes 9 times out of 10.